Hello, everyone. I'm Carl Brady with the East AlabamaWorks Regional Workforce Council, and it's time for another East AlabamaWorks Video Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. You know, one of the topics that we talk about a lot in workforce development around the state of Alabama is workforce development in our our rural communities and rural counties. Recently, we had Brenda Tuck on the program, who is the Director of Rural Development for the Alabama Department of Commerce. And we wanted to talk about one of the rural counties here in Region 2 that we cover that seems to be having a lot of success in economic development, workforce development. And we want to see what they've got going on, celebrate their successes, and give them a little bit of a highlight here on the podcast. So we're going to go down to Randolph County, and Bryant Whaley joins us. Bryant is the Executive Director of the Randolph County Economic Development Authority. Bryant, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Carl. Yeah, I know the official name is a long title, but again, I appreciate you having me on and everything you and Lisa do for East AlabamaWorks, and also a quick shout out to Ms. Brenda Tuck. She's doing great at the state level, so appreciate everything she's doing as well.
Tell us to start off with just the basics of doing economic development in rural Alabama and workforce development. Why is there such an important focus on our rural communities for the last couple of years?
What a lot of people don't realize is most of our workforce lives within the rural communities. You always hear the Big Six, the Birminghams, the Huntsvilles, the Mobiles, the Auburns, Opelika's, Tuscaloosa, stuff like that. But truth be known, a lot of our workforce is living within the rural counties, and people are starting to realize that, especially with COVID, that, you know, with workforce, we can actually do a lot more things at home, and our workforce is pretty strong. And so a lot of effort has been put into the workforce rurally to seeing, hey, maybe instead of people following businesses are now following people, and realizing that the state of Alabama, our rural people, are our best people. You know, people may travel to the bigger cities, but they have to go through rural Alabama to get there. And that's the same thing with our workforce. A lot of our workforce, and to me, in my opinion, our best part of our workforce is in rural Alabama. They may not want to be a part of the big city life. They don't like the traffic and things like that. So they live in the rural areas where people ask you about three different questions. And one is who you belong to, what church you go to, and who do you pull for. And after that, everybody loves each other. But it's a great effort going into rural Alabama and everything. So it's to me, it's finally getting attention. I've been doing this about 3 years now, but talking to other people around the state, this has been a long time coming, and it's one of those things to where the rising tide lifts all ships. So it's going to benefit everyone around the state.
Absolutely. And you guys in Randolph County have been seeing some successes at a time when we're 2 years now into the COVID-19 pandemic, and we saw people losing their jobs. We saw companies cutting back or cutting down and shutting down. And in Randolph County, you guys have seen some new investment and some new projects from your industrial base there, as well as on the retail side and the restaurant side and things like that. But talk about some of those industrial development projects and what they mean to your community.
Well, first off, things kicked off in August of 2020. That was with Geldwin. People may have heard of that. There was a plant down in Ozark, Alabama, and that plant closed down there. So I feel for those in Ozark, but that supply line, that assembly line was moved up to Wedowee, Alabama, which is in our area. And they moved those 40 jobs up here to Wedowee, and that created about 40 jobs, which, you know, and you may sound 40 jobs, well, that's not a lot, but then you think about 40 jobs here in rural Randolph County. To me, that's about 200 jobs in Birmingham or somewhere like that, where you get the big headline. But the big thing about Geldwin, I'm proud of, they've shifted from doing a temp force, not temp force in general, but a temporary service for hiring, and have a actual HR manager, and have jumped their wages up to $17 an hour. So proud of that. They took the investment. They're paying well. So that was big. Then we move on.
And
And in
that's
fall and
competitive
December,
anywhere. $17 an hour is a very competitive wage, and you're in those 40 jobs. That's 40 people from your community who are not having to leave their community to go find a
right.
job an hour or more away. And we'll talk about inflow and outflow in a little bit as
Sure.
well. But that's a significant investment right there. And Jeldon makes patio doors for people who don't know what they do. I always find it interesting to find out what our industries do behind those doors and behind the fences. But they make patio doors, which is very interesting.
Well, they do that, and they also ship to Lowe's and Home Depot around the whole country. So that's pretty cool to know your stuff in your town is going there. But it's even another part that's pretty cool is Steel Fab. They expanded about $24 million following in December of 2020. And so that was real big. That was another expansion of about, I think, about 75 jobs there, but it was a $24 million investment. And it come down to us, a place in Virginia, and they even looked at a place in Oregon to expand. But then talking with the plant manager, he said, Brian, I know the workforce is bad around the whole country. He said, but the workforce, what they've looked at, is better in Alabama than they've looked at anywhere around the country. And that was a big deciding factor of expanding the plant in Roanoke was our rural workforce. I mean, that was the champion of the expansion because let's face it, I mean, it comes down to $24 million is tough to cut no matter where you put it on the East Coast, West Coast. But it comes down to if you don't have the people for it, then it doesn't matter. And people is the biggest investment. And they decided through everything that the people were better fit here in Randolph County, and especially in Roanoke, to do well. And what's cool about Steel Fab is the same steel you see here and from the Georgia Aquarium to Daytona Speed Track. And they're working on, I think, even stuff with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the steel in rural Roanoke is going around the country. So that's really cool when you take some of the kids from our Career Tech Center. Big fan of Career Tech. Got to give them a shout out and everything they're doing. Mm-hmm. And we have a new director, Logan Cofield, and he's doing great work there. And but shifting back to Steel Fab, when you take somebody, one of the teachers or somebody, and they say, hey, this same steel they're making here is affecting people around the world. It's one of those you don't realize what you have in your hometown. And that's another big thing about rural development is we have to do better with telling our stories. Economic developers, we are storytellers, and we have to get that out there. I mean, I hate to say it, Carl, you know this well too, that if you don't say it or put it out there, it doesn't happen. I mean, it's just one of those, I hate to say it, but modesty has shifted away to where we live in the world now based off clicks and shares and stuff. And the only way us little guys in rural development can compete with the big guys is we have to put everything out there. Then moving on from Steel Fab, we most recently here this past June, Mohawk, they expanded 130 jobs. And that was real big to hear that they did some combination of different stuff from around their plants and consolidate some things, but added the 130 jobs back to Mohawk. They had been slender some during COVID, but then they added some of those back, then added more. So that's always good to get them back to where they were. Then they added the other 100. So that was really good. So in the last less than 2 years, we've had over 200 jobs to industrial investment here in Randolph County, which, like you said, Carl, everybody else around us is struggling, then it's always good to show us that people are doing well.
Absolutely. Those investments you talk about, it's not just the jobs. What you're talking about, Steel Fab and a $24 million investment in their expansion, a lot of that money is going to come to local contractors, local electricians, local people who are involved in building the new facility or things like that, supplies for the new facility and those kind of things. So it's not just the jobs that are a shot in the arm for your local community, but those expenditures to make those expansions are a tremendous asset to the community as well.
Yeah, when you look at it, spending money rurally, I know everybody gets tired of the shop local, buy local I know that moniker, but here's something that backs up that data, is that for every dollar spent locally, it turns over 7 times. So that's the data behind that. And I've had to learn that with especially economic development and moving forward to 2022 and years before, you have to have the data to support everything you're saying. You can say it all day, but if you don't have the data to support it, so when somebody says, oh, why should I buy local? Well, your dollar turns over 7 times, so then it pays not only the retail merchant, but then that person pays something else and it goes over. So that's why you should buy local, because you're helping out 7 other people basically.
Tell us, remind us, what are the major communities within your county that you are supporting, so people can kind of get an idea of what communities we're talking about here?
Right. In Randolph County, we're centrally located between Auburn and Opelika to the south of us, and then to the north, Anniston and Oxford. Birmingham to the west of us is about an hour and a half. Atlanta about an hour and a half as well. In my county, there's 4 municipalities. The city of Roanoke is the biggest, and then we have Lake Wedowee up there, which is a great asset where we've seen a lot of development going there. The town of Woodland, which, believe it or not, working with the mayor there, we've actually got a Family Dollar and a Dollar General going both into a small town of less than a few hundred people, and that's the coolest thing for them, because now they don't have to go somewhere else. They can go down the road and just talking real quick about that. Little investments, like I say, little, but stuff like that, a Dollar General, Family Dollar, stuff you may take for granted in a bigger city, that in turn helps a small community like Woodland so much because of the taxes that it can go from there. That now the city has money that it never had before. And the other municipality is Wadley, and we have Southern Union over here. And Southern Union is a great asset. And every time I do a RFI, RFP, anytime somebody's talking about rural development or anything in Randolph County, I start off with East AlabamaWorks, and then I start with Southern Union State Community College. Both are great assets, but Southern Union's main campus is here in Wadley. They finally have a new president, and President Shackett, and also they're doing great things there. Enrollment's up, everything's doing well. So really excited with the partnership we have with Southern Union State Community College.
So with these expansions and with the new development coming in, where are you going to find your workers? That's what people want to know at this point in time, because we're having these worker shortages throughout the state and throughout the country. The new unemployment report for December came out just this morning from the Alabama Department of Labor. You guys in Randolph County are sitting at 2.2% unemployment, which is an amazing number. And it relates to, I think it said, only 205 people in the entire county, which is about a 6,000 population for your county. 205 people are looking for jobs or unemployed. So when it comes to talking to these industries and to these retail developments about workforce, where's your workforce coming from? Because you got a lot of people working in your community.
Right, and the 6,000, that's about the population of Roanoke. For the population of Randolph County, is about 23,000.
Okay.
So there, but you mentioned with workforce, and what I'm happy to say with a lot of when I mentioned the Mohawk expansion and Steel Fab and Geldwin, I also want to talk about some of our other ones with Candlewick, and they've all bumped their wages up to around that $17 an hour mark. And beforehand, so much of our workforce in Randolph County was leaving Randolph County to work in another county. We're right here beside Georgia. And when I would talk to Ms. Brenda Tuck and other developers, my biggest competition is Georgia. Troup County, Heard County, they've got a lot going on. I mean, LaGrange has got the Remington plant going on over there. Great Wolf Lodge. I mean, a lot of stuff in LaGrange. So a lot of our population was leaving Randolph County to go to Carrollton, to Southwire, or wherever in different places. Hyundai's not far from here, down in West Point. So us and Randolph and Chambers have a lot of unique problems of where people live in our counties, but they work somewhere else. So when you work somewhere else, you buy your gas, you buy your groceries, you're spending all your money to help somebody else. So we're starting to see a big influx of people coming back to working within Randolph County. I think of our eligible workforce. I think of there's about 1,000 people come into Randolph County to work. But Carl, I say we were losing 5,500 people a day leaving Randolph County to go somewhere else to work. That is the equivalent of a small city. I mean, Roanoke's about 6,000. So imagine a city worth of people leaving to go work somewhere else. So now getting a lot of those people back, they're back at home, they're spending that money here, and more or less they're keeping that money here. And that pays dividends down the road when you're talking about tax dollars and doing projects and, oh, my road is bad, things like that. But it dominoes effects from there by getting our population, our workers back here, because our workers is our best investment, as I talked to you previously. You can talk incentives all day till you're blue in the face, but if you don't have the people for the projects, it doesn't matter. So getting those people back, realize, and then telling that story of working with, just telling people that, hey, you can go work here locally. And also the students, they can make a good living here within Randolph County as well. Just because you put a sign up front saying you're hiring, who doesn't have a sign right now? I mean, you can go up and down the road and everybody's got a sign. We worked with our local newspaper and doing things like that, our career center, not just doing a career fair, because people have that moniker of that as well, but working with different people with different organizations and just trying to partner together. That's what rural development is. It's based off relationships. And you got to think outside the box and do more stuff with co-ops, apprenticeships. You have to involve the schools more. I mean, it's bringing everybody to the table. Like, I might not know the answer, but my goal is to bring everybody together. Like, we recently had a manufacturer breakfast here a week ago, and I just sat back and let the career tech and the industries talk. I made coffee, sat back and said, hey, if y'all need me, let me know. And I think those conversations is what we have to have more of, that it's not about me. It's not about the ribbon cuttings and things like that. It's putting those industries out there and like, hey, y'all tell me what y'all need. And if I don't know, I'm going to find out. So that's what I'm proudest of, is getting conversations going that we haven't never really had before until these last 3 years.
Well, that's a lot of what I tell people we do with East AlabamaWorks when they ask us about what we do. Is I tell them that we facilitate relationships, and so working with the industries and the businesses and finding out what their needs are and concerns are, and then we facilitate making relationships between them and their local community and the community colleges, the CTE programs and things like that, so that there can be that back and forth communication that's necessary to benefit everybody. So I totally get what you're saying about that breakfast and giving them the opportunity to sit and talk to each other and get to know each other a little bit. We were talking a little bit about inflow and outflow of people working. That's great that you're seeing some of your folks coming back to work in their home community. But as those jobs go up, the job numbers increase, and as those wages increase, you're going to start seeing inflow as well. You're going to start seeing those people come from other areas who, like you said, are going to stop for gas while they are in your community. They're going to buy lunch or buy dinner while they're in town, or stop by the local Dollar General on their way home. And so that's just another way that the development helps, is that inflow of traffic and workers adds that extra benefit in there. Tell me about go ahead.
I was just going to say, with as people are coming into here, everybody wants to talk about, well, they're here, then what are they going to do now? And, it's one of those things where entertainment's a big thing. We're trying to recruit different things like that for kids to do, other than sit in the parking lot on Friday night and trying to get into trouble. But, retail's a big thing. A lot of people want to know, I want X, Y, Z, I want this, I want that. And, you have to be able to market your area. And what a lot of people don't realize is the traffic count and the population count. And there's always one or two places people want to go to, but if it doesn't match up to the data you don't have, then sometimes you have to work with what you got.
Yeah, that is a struggle in economic development everywhere, is looking at the different generations. The millennials want to make more money, they want to work less, and they want to play more. They want to have places that they can go and play and get together with their friends. Their entertainment and non-working time is much more important to them than other generations have been. I was raised by the World War II generation folks and the baby boomers who believed, work 40 hours a week and then work 20 more if you have to make things work for you and your family. And we're seeing newer generations that are coming in who are saying, I'm going to work from home. I'm going to give you about 30 hours a week, but I still expect to make the same amount of money. You're paying me for my knowledge, not for my time. Those kind of, the whole aspect is changing. And those folks, to recruit them into your community, as you said, they are looking for entertainment options, restaurants, and nightclubs and things like that to fill their leisure time.
Sure.
You wanted to talk about Victory Game Clocks. Tell us what they do. I was surprised at this, making scoreboards and things like that for the sports industry, and that's coming from right there in Randolph County.
Yeah, unless you live under a rock, sports is pretty big here in rural Alabama. We just come off a lot of different, whether basketball, and we just come off of football and everything going on. We have a company here in Randolph County, in Roanoke, Victory Game Clock. They do the electronic EDA markers and time clocks. What that is, when you see on the sideline, you see a electronic clock counting 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first down, second down, third down. Or if you go into a game and you see somebody walk out with a clock and it counts down to 2 minutes and 50 seconds every time there is a change of the ball. I was out in Dallas for the Alabama game. Every time you look down, well, there's that little guy with that sign saying 2 minutes and 50 seconds. But it gave me a chance to talk to people saying that sign right there is made in Roanoke, Alabama. And to show the impact that it's having countrywide is something that's phenomenal. That most people think of rural development, they think of manufacturing, they think of the smokestacks. Well, we have a lot of technology stuff going on, and proud of them, and happy to say that they are expanding and they plan to build a new building now coming in 2022. They bought property in our industrial park. They're expanding. Going to be hiring new people, doing more stuff for game clocks. He's outgrown his building. He needs somewhere to go. I said, hey, I've got property. Hey, come here. It's a great product. It's, like you said, technology. It's something that's so unique that how many people could say, like, you have this made, it's sort of like the GPS stuff down and you follow with the company escapes, but that's a big thing down and you follow, but this is something here to help us to show that, hey, technology is real big too, that not just agriculture and manufacturing, but they're expanding. They're going to be adding new jobs, and that's always I say cool. That's always just interesting to see the impact of rural Randolph County, rural Alabama. The made in Alabama is a great saying, but made in rural Alabama, that's real big right there, and the impact that's having is saying, hey, when you telling kids when you graduate, hey, come work right here, make a great living, and then you can say, hey, I made that scoreboard or made that board they're using out in the Mount West Conference or Boise State or national championship. So that just goes to say that it's one of those that when I tell people, hey, that's where they make all this ad, and they're like, they see the size of the building and it's only about 10,000 square feet, and they're like, wow, it's not that big, but it's the intricacy of going in there, of how much they have to do, that there's so many little parts and components. It's like a bunch of Legos. And if you understand, like building a Lego set, every little piece is so important. And the owner there, Hutch Hammond, he's actually from Eufaula and moved up here about 20 years ago, and has really grown Victory Game Clock to where it is now. So that's a really homegrown story, very successful entrepreneur. It's one of those feel-good stories that's having a great impact.
And you have a building that's available right now. I
Yes,
noticed
and
that you were promoting.
yeah, this is something that is 700,000 square feet, and people they're like, how do you have something that big? The property will start off with, it used to be called, it's Meadowcraft now. It used to be called Whaley Holdings, and about 20 years ago, they had about 1,500 people. But the wrought iron business has steadily dwindled down, and so the building they're in now is a lot smaller. So this was where they held all their storage of all the property, where they shipped everything out. But it's a 700,000 square foot building. It's a split level. One side has when I say split level, one side has a mezzanine, one side is 300,000 square feet. That's 40-foot ceilings. The mezzanine level has 200,000 20-foot high ceiling, and another 200,000, another 20-foot high. But it was built in 1994. Foundation's good. The building's secure. Went there and visited numerous times, and is talked to the plant manager and the owner. And I said, hey, what about putting this out there to try to market to see what we can get there? You talk with EDPA and the guys there. Property is available, but buildings are not. And I found this out when I meet with EDPA and give them, thankfully everything they do with EDPA, and also Jim and Sherry with all they do EDA. That was the quick story with that. I had to learn all the synonyms and acronyms and
there are
all
lots
that
of
with
them.
all the, golly, it's like the military. Every time we look up Alabama economic development, it's coming up with a new analogy or new something you have to learn. But with this building, it's move-in ready. It's warehouse space. It's ready to move in. And so it's, by saying 700,000 square feet, the only other building that's bigger that's available right now is up in Huntsville. It's around 1 million square feet. And of course, I say Huntsville, and what's not going on in Huntsville right now, everything from space to FBI to different things. It's huge right now. So to say I have the second largest industrial space that's available in the state of Alabama is a great piece of property we're marketing. I've already talked to some consultants now. I've sent that to them. I say, hey, here's the data. Alabama Power, give them a shout out as well, free of charge. A great lady, her name is Erin Hanvey. Erin helped me out with the business intelligence, and she threw all together the fancy graphs, the workforce, the drive times, and that's something that rural development want to talk about real quick. Every time you do RFI, nobody talks about what county is your people coming from. They drop a pin where you're at. No RFI I've never seen an RFI talk about, well, how many people are coming from Cleveland County or Chambers or Clay. That's one thing that I think rurally right now we still have a trouble sometimes, because we like to be competitive, and sometimes the county lines are competitive, but then you look past that and realizing, hey, we're all working together. Even though you may be doing well this time, well, then my people are doing well here. And if we don't work together rurally, then that's going to hurt us as well. And then just another segue into working together from that is one thing that Cleveland County and Clay County and Randolph County, we've all worked well together on doing what's called Explore East Alabama. We come together, we realize there's a bunch of assets working together with the Pinhoti Trail, the Talladega Forest, Lakewood Valley. We have tourism, we just didn't market well enough what we're doing. And I think that's a big thing rurally. We have to do better telling what we have for people to do. So we work together with that, and now we're working with some other bigger cities that are saying, hey, they're on to something here. We may have hotels where we're at, but when someone leaves a hotel, they don't want to go to the name brand restaurants. They want the mom and pop places like the John Boys and Roanoke, the Gedney's, places like that, or go over to Heflin, you get Marie's Barbecue or just a little frosting, by saying the names, like, well, what are those places? Exactly. That's the type of places you want to go to that you might see on diners, drive-ins, and dives on Food Network. It's just helping those little places like that. So it's all just one big group effort we're working towards, whether it be from marketing a 700,000 square foot building to tourism to retail. It's all one big effort, and sometimes that's where we in rural development catch a little grief. Sometimes they wonder why things are a little slow. like I tell people, it's me, myself, and I. And we get along great all the time. Well, sometimes we do, sometimes we disagree. But the resources, we don't always have a bigger city made. So we have to be able to work together regionally and pull all of our assets together, because we're stronger together than we are separately.
Just quickly, let's talk a little bit about the retail side of what you do in restaurants. You mentioned Dollar General and Family Dollar in Woodland, but I've noticed lately you've made several announcements about new restaurants coming to the community, and another, retail that all of these little things, no matter how little they are important to the communities that they come to. So let's talk about those, some of your successes in the retail development, restaurant development side there.
Well, the most recent restaurant we're talking about was we announced that Guthrie's was coming here to Roanoke. And some people might say, what is Guthrie's? And it's a local chicken restaurant that and the people that are doing it are actually out of Chambers County, out of Valley, and they were looking for another location where to go to. And it goes back to what I was saying is about marketing your area. Get a phone call from Chambers County saying, hey, we have somebody who might be interested. Do you have any property? And that's the first thing people have to realize in retail. If you don't have somewhere for them to go, then you have nothing to pitch, basically. You have to know where's a good site, and then the traffic count, but then also there's the demographics of that, but also the what people don't understand either is the median cost of living. Like, for example, you have to make a certain median income to that they want to sell to. Certain places, there's one big chicken restaurant everybody talks about, but they don't have a 99-cent menu. And there's a reason for that, because they go to certain areas with higher population, higher traffic counts, and per median income. So when you live in rural Alabama, you have to realize, all right, where does my traffic count? Okay, we check this off. Where's my per median income? We check this off. Okay, where's my okay, we check this off. And then that's how you market the area. And then that's when I throw in, with Southern Union, we have a lot of students coming over here. We're not far from LaGrange. People may come over, but they want to get away from it. We're on 431. You're going down to Auburn for a game. You may want to stop here and visit and do something there. We're not far from Talladega, and we're not far from Cheehaw, and it's the in-between of Birmingham and Atlanta. Someone may want to take a little side road trip to down here to visit the lake, and try to push that. And that's been the big struggle right there, because when I say Randolph County, they're like, what are you talking about? Then you have to tell them the whole story about what's going on. And we're getting people to listen to that story and realizing, hey, you might be onto something then. And it just takes a while to get that. But when you get one thing, then it starts building into something else. Then you can announce saying, hey, this is coming. Across the corner of where Guthrie's is going, we had an East Alabama Medical Center moved into that old bank building right there. And that's huge to have multiple healthcare options in rural Alabama. We have Tanner Health in Wedowee, who has a hospital there. And to say we have a hospital in Randolph County is great. We have East Alabama has an office here and regional medical centers here. That is huge. When other places around are closing, we have those facilities here in Randolph County. So it's marketed healthcare. Education is a big thing. We have two great school systems with Randolph County school systems and then Roanoke City schools. And like I mentioned before, Carl, people were following businesses, and now businesses follow people, and they ask about those. So how's your school? How's your health care? And automatically, that's two great check marks, I say right there. And all of them are great to work with. If I ever need a letter of support, if I need to say, hey, can we take a tour of your building? Can you help me out with this? And they're great. And, over the years, when I first started here, I couldn't tell you what RFI was or whatever it's called, and then now fast forward and we're actually doing more RFIs and that's request for information for someone who might know. That's another acronym I should have talked about. And that's when somebody says, hey, I want to come to your area. Well, how's your utilities? How is your internet? How is this? And want to brag on our utilities. You can have a piece of property, but if you don't have gas, water, power, Fiber is huge. People want to know, how's your internet? And so then you have to factor in, well, where is my utilities compared to this site and so forth. So property is great. Hey, you got it. That's great. But if you don't work with the utilities, then guess what? People need to use the bathroom. People are going to need electricity. They're going to need all those things right there. So the utilities and property go co-enhance. So you have to have those on site. So that's another big thing. And especially going back to the building I was telling you about, that was one thing we put in there was, hey, power's there, fiber's there, parking, just the little things like that. You want to eliminate like site select. They say site selection, but it's really site elimination. Goes things with retail and everything. They look for reasons not to come to your area.
Right.
So
right.
as economic developers, we have to show why you should, but also why you shouldn't eliminate it. So say, for example, with Guthrie's coming in there, and that's also helping us, but then also with, we mentioned with Dollar General and Family Dollar. Well, look right here at this site and look at the traffic out here, but also look what is helping the community. And one of the best stories you can ever get is when someone comes up to you and say, hey, you helped my son, my daughter, or whoever get a job. You don't get that in the bigger cities. They barely know who the economic developers are. I can't go to Walmart without somebody asking me about, hey, what about this? What about this? Which is catch-22 either side. But, when somebody says, hey, Bryant, you helped me get a job or something like that, that's what hits home. That's what's really, really nice about what I do, to actually have that impact on somebody. Not every day is the same, it's not the same 9 to 5. One day I'm doing a podcast. One day I'm about to be with Miss Lisa doing East AlabamaWorks, trying to decide that and try to help out with marketing that. And then, I've got a board meeting on Monday, but then I'm talking with the city council about some tax abatement incentive for Guthrie's coming in. So it's never the same day, but it's a great, great job.
Well, Brian, we're out of time. I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Randolph County and letting us highlight some of the great things you got going on over there. And we wish you all the best. We appreciate your relationship with East AlabamaWorks. It is a valuable relationship, and how much of our stuff that you're involved in. We really do appreciate that. And we hope to continue the growth in Randolph County and all through our region too.
I appreciate it, Carl. Again, thank y'all for everything you do. And like I said, I know we talked a little off air, but glad to see you doing well. And just keep everything moving forward and hope to have another one of these about a year from now when we get to talk about some more stuff.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much. Again, Bryant Whaley with the Randolph County Economic Development Authority. I'm Carl Brady with East AlabamaWorks Regional Workforce Council. And that's it for our podcast today. We'll see you next time.